97.9, 105.5, KISS FM, Big Papa and Banna in the morning. In studio, big sexy Shawn Smith. Good morning, my friend. How are you doing?
Good morning.
So, number one, being a being a musician, getting anyone who plays music to get in here first thing in the morning is a challenge by any stretch of imagination.
Quite the challenge.
The struggle is real. The struggle is real.
But I wanted to, and you and I have had off-the-record conversations a bunch of times about, obviously, stuff that has gone on with you and with Ryan Quinn being on The Voice this season and making it through the blind auditions and, now making it onto the battle round and just the kind of dynamic that he's dealing with. I wanted to talk to you on the air about your journey because at this point, you know exactly what he's going through, up to a point. So I just wanted to, kind of get and obviously there's things that he can't say because of contractual obligations, and if he does, he can get sued.
Right. And the last time I was in here, it was the same way. I couldn't really say too much.
Right. And honestly, that's why I wanted to bring you in, because you are the only person that knows exactly what's going on with Ryan Quinn, not only in front of the public, but behind the scenes as well.
Correct.
So take us through your similarities and because you went and you auditioned in the middle of the summertime. Right. You actually had to miss. You were with Showtime at the time, and you actually missed their biggest gig of the year, which of course is Saranac Thursday at the brewery.
Correct.
You missed that because you were taping The Voice.
Correct.
So how long of a wait was it between when you did your blind audition and because obviously you had to miss a couple other things as well, but the big chunk of time that you were there, it was the blind audition and the battle rounds. They were all in one. That was all in one trip, correct?
Right, correct. And when I came back, I have already taped the blinds and the battle rounds. So has Ryan. So he already knows what happens in the battle rounds, but he has to come home and he has that little gag order practically, you know what I mean? So
because it's like $3 million or something.
It was like a $5 million confidentiality clause in there. So it was pretty easy not to say anything to anybody. You know what I mean? But no, I spent a good, I think it was almost 3 months out in LA. Just doing the taping alone was like a month alone because we had 147 contestants taping.
Oh wow!
Within like a week. That was all fit into 2 weeks. That was the walk up, the red carpet walk.
Okay. All that B-roll, all the B-roll
stuff. Correct. So that pretty much went on the whole time we were there. But the battle rounds, right after the battle rounds, you get sent home, whether you win or lose, just to advertise for the upcoming airing of the actual blind auditions.
Okay. So for people who aren't familiar with your particular journey on The Voice, you were the last person through on Make It to a Team. You were on Team Cee-Lo.
Right.
And then during the battle rounds, the first battle round, you have lost.
Yeah.
So and I feel
it was so weird how it was like I had to wait so long, just like Ryan, for to air for your thing there, and I would just wish I had a little bit more time on a little spotlight, but it's all right.
Well,
you know what I mean? But it was still just the whole journey itself. It's it's a hell of a lot of stress. You know what I mean? That puts on the actual musician, and there was a lot of younger kids there too. So there was parents chaperoning, and stuff like that, and it's a lot of. It's just I commend Ryan for what he's doing because you guys, I was listening to you guys when Ryan was in here, and literally it's overnight, and man, that kid just blew up.
Well,
overnight.
we had him. And in the Central New York music scene, he kind of came out of nowhere just in general.
Remember he used to come out and play for with Justin and I, and we're just who is this kid? He's just hi, I'm Ryan. I'm like, oh my God, he's the sweetest guy I've ever met.
Yeah, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and all of a sudden he starts to sing and Goosebumps Central.
Yeah, blows you away.
He's just captivating. It doesn't matter what he's singing. You're just wow, this kid is amazing.
So regardless, obviously Central New York is is so proud of Ryan and what he's got. I mean, 1 million views on his blind audition.
That's unreal. I can't, like, number 2 on iTunes. Like, I'm like, what? That's great.
Absolutely incredible. And the proof really is, it's incredible. I want to talk to you about, like, all of a sudden overnight people knowing, because you go you're away for a little bit, you come back, you can't say a thing, okay? And your blind audition was the very last one, so it was like 3 weeks into into the season, and all you want to do, I can't, like, I'm a really good friend of yours, and like, you let me in on it, all I wanted to do was scream for you. I can't even imagine being you. I can't imagine being Ryan, being like, I made it!
I know,
oh my God, I made it! You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't even imagine the stress and, like, the internal stuff that you go through just holding that for so long.
But honestly, it was pretty cool. Like, one of the executive producers there, she was telling us, she's like, it's gonna be tough to go home and hold all this inside, because it's exciting, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But she made a really good point, like, you want everybody else to experience this and see this for the first time like you have, you know what I mean? Because you're going to be watching it together, because, everybody gets sent home. So it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? You want to hold that in as long as you can, just so you can, have fun with everybody else with it.
And so Ryan's, been holding it for so long. All of a sudden, last week happened, and his world has been turned upside down. Featured on Yahoo and CNN, man. Number 2 on the rock charts on iTunes.
He's got to be doing some crazy interviews, and like that's the other thing. Like once you actually air on TV, that's when like you're contracted. You have to wake up every morning at like 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, and you got to call into this one number conference call, and then all these other media outlets will just call in and ask questions, and it's going to be a whirlwind for that kid. I'm wicked excited to see.
I was and I'm really excited to see his journey as well, because of just the way that the show and the producers have set him up, and obviously the talent as well.
Oh, man.
But a lot of it, and we'll get into how everyone is set up and how they're portrayed. I'll get into that in a second. But I just can't, going from playing at bars where 30 people show up, and then all of a sudden there was a line starting at 6:30 at Cavallo's Friday just to see him on the deck. The place was absolutely packed out. So I mean, and I remember when after your blind happened and you got added, and all of a sudden, granted, you guys were filling places anyway, but the change in dynamic just in the crowd that came to see you live had to have been such a different vibe.
Yeah, it's the exposure alone. Like I got to the battle rounds on The Voice, but it's just the exposure alone. You can't put a price on that. You know what I mean? Because like that whole winter, I ended up going to like Las Vegas, and I had people like screaming "Big Sexy" as I'm walking down the street. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You're like, wow, there's really that many people. I was down in Savannah, Georgia for St. Patty's Day that year. People calling me out there, taking pictures down there in Savannah, Georgia. I'm like, wow, I'm from Boonville, New York. I'm like, really? Like, this is really happening?
But and a lot of it is, and Ryan Quinn and I were talking about this off the air. A lot of it is just people, and Coolio said it best. People just want a second of your time, just a quick hi, just a quick picture. It seems like there's just like a lot, always being pulled in different directions for just, even if it's just a moment. People just want like a moment of your time when this kind of thing happens.
And it takes a lot too, because like you're like, I'm not talking like I was like the most like popular guy around the area.
No, and I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying that with that exposure, all of a sudden people are excited for you.
Oh, absolutely.
They're excited because they know of you. They're excited for you, and they want to kind of share in that. That's what I'm saying.
And every time you talk to somebody, you got to kind of get in the mindset. It's like, all right, this is the first time this person is hearing your story about The Voice.
Right.
So you have to stay energetic, you know what I mean, and enthused about it, stuff like that, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know. He's in for one hell of a little ride here, and I can't wait to see where this is gonna bring him, because that kid, he's gonna go far.
So good.
He's gonna go so far.
Big sexy Shawn Smith in studio. He has been on The Voice. He knows exactly.
Cee-Lo.
He knows exactly where Ryan Quinn is at. Like, he's been there. So being able to kind of get that behind the scenes that he couldn't talk about before, and obviously Ryan doesn't want to mess this up, so he's not saying nothing.
I've been on that contract for like 3 years, so we're good to go.
So more with Shawn Smith in studio next year. If you have questions, hit us up, and Shawn's like, hey, listen, I'm here. So yeah, more with Shawn Smith in studio next year at Kiss FM. 8:25 at Kiss FM with Big Papa and Banna in the morning. Big sexy Shawn Smith in studio. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
So we're talking about, everyone has Quinn Sanity. Everyone in Central New York is just so happy and excited for Ryan Quinn making, all 4 chairs turn and the whole thing. Now, he was saying that, and I don't think I'm telling tales out of school, he had mentioned that after the 4 chair turn, that they actually talk, the interaction between everyone and whoever auditioned, lasts a long time, and obviously we only get a couple minutes of it. How was it for you when you went, and obviously you were the last one and you didn't find out until after, but after Cee-Lo turned and whatnot, how was that interaction and whatnot?
They do a lot of editing. Like that's one thing that I realized, that it's a lot different than what actually happens. Sometimes, they use, like, every day you have to wear, for the 2 weeks of, like, taping the blind auditions, you have to wear the same exact clothes, same earrings. You get a haircut, like, once a week. You got pictures, headshots, make sure everything's lined up on your face, your earrings, your necklace is out this way, you're wearing a ring on this finger, a bracelet here, your clothes have to be this way, like everything
has to be exactly the same.
Exactly the same, because they're using those, like, reactions from judges and stuff like that. They're cutting them and using them for other people. Just, they cut and paste wherever they want to.
Really?
Yeah. So it's pretty intense. But then, when after I got to talk to the judges, I had this really good back and forth with Christina Aguilera. I got to, like, hug her and, like, smell her, because she's so beautiful.
What does a Christina Aguilera smell like?
Strawberries. Strawberries. I would imagine if what an angel would smell like, just strawberries in heaven and clouds and just beautiful. Just everything beautiful. It's so nice.
Talk to me about your blind audition, and the reason I'm bringing this up is anybody who has followed you leading up to your experience on The Voice, they have never heard you or seen you do Chicken Fried by the Zac Brown Band.
Correct.
But all of a sudden, this is your biggest moment on national TV, and all of a sudden you're singing a song that you've never done locally. How does that go? How did that work out?
When you actually, after you go to wherever city that you're auditioning for to actually even get to the
big cattle call.
Yes.
Yeah.
They give you a sheet of about, like, I think it was like 250 songs, and you put them. You're supposed to go and pick 20 songs and put that, like, in order, what song or what song you would want to sing.
Okay.
So I went through, and being with Showtime for 7 years before that, I knew, like, every song. So I'm like, yep, check. So I just picked anything, but they ended up going with. They actually picked the songs for you. You don't pick your song.
Wait a second. They picked your blind audition song for you?
And then they tell you to say, like, with me, when they picked Chicken Fried, they were like, all right, so the reason why you picked this song is because of the military, and you
that
feel
one
this
line.
way. Right.
You in fact, I remember because you kept saying that same quote. You said it, like, in 7 different interviews. Why Chicken Fried? And it was because it was the military reference in there.
Right. But
and you're saying that's because NBC said
anybody that knows me they I don't really talk about military a lot.
Yeah,
You know
no.
what I mean, that was one thing I didn't want to exploit when I went to The Voice. I just wanted to just go there and try to get there, on singing. But everybody on The Voice, they have a backstory. They use something to appeal to the American public.
Right.
And the military is what they picked. So I was like the last day of the tapings for the blind audition when I got on Cee-Lo's team, and there was about 15 people in front of me, okay, that still haven't even auditioned. They had a cart pull all the way to the back into the holding area where we had to rush me forward, had to go through makeup real quick, hair and makeup real quick, and they forced me all the way to the front of the line.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So they brought you up. They skipped 15 people to get you up for the blind.
And not just that, there was still 40 or 47 people that didn't even get to audition, and they get to come back next season and get a first round pick.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's a lot of holdovers every year because the teams fill up so fast. So all the people that already made it to that season to audition, if they don't get to go, they go all the way back.
So what you're saying is the producers really wanted to talk about your story, and they wanted to make sure that you at least had that shot.
Right. It was I think it was appealing. Like my story was appealing, and not just that, they also had Johnny Gray. He already went through. So this is when they...
And Johnny Gray is also military.
So this is where they lined up the whole military battle, the Air Force Army thing. So they know what they're doing.
So and again, and I've known you for a long time, and the one thing that you really don't mention and talk a lot about is your military past and whatnot. So that's
but it was an appealing backstory to those producers. You know what I mean?
And that's what they chose to go with, and they kind of they bumped you up.
And I turned into a yes man for a little while, but it was all right.
Well, I mean,
you kind of have to. You know what I mean? They know what they know what they're doing. They know what they're looking for. So obviously, I'm going to go with it.
So you go up there, you do chicken fried, you get and one of the most magical days, just like for me personally, is we actually had a viewing party for the day. We had it down at Shots, and hearing the crowd go absolutely you starting to sing.
Oh, dude, I started crying. I was just overcome with so much emotion. Just everybody was just so happy, and it was honestly, that was one of the coolest days ever. Honestly, that was more fun than the actual blind audition, just because I don't even remember the blind audition because I was so nervous and oh man, I was so scared. It literally went through so fast.
Was it a okay? Let's go. Okay, ready, go now. Well, was that kind of how it went? That's
exactly how it was. I literally got rushed in this golf cart. My guitar went one way. I went the other. I literally walked in. I had a sound guy. It was all wiped down. They just handed it to me. You're next. And I'm like, right now? Okay, all right, here we go. Then the doors open, and I don't really remember anything until Christina Aguilera. So
I don't remember anything
until I got to smell strawberries.
So you go through, and now all of a sudden you made it to Team Cee-Lo, and you're going to quote unquote the battle round. Right. So what happens from that point? You get you make it through the blind audition, and at that point you go and record the song that got released to iTunes.
Right. So the whole week after the first week you get back, right after you do the blind audition, that's when you start doing the recordings. But then you start doing a lot of the B-roll stuff for the coaches and the celebrity
mentors and
stuff like that. And then after that, it's a lot of choreography, voice lessons.
You did choreography lessons?
Oh yeah. You got everybody, all the movements.
You do a little step tap? Is that
a little bit? I wanted to tackle Johnny Gray at one point, but I'm like, no, I'll leave him alone. I don't want to mess up his hair.
So that week after you do the recording session for the song that ultimately will end up getting released onto iTunes, and doing a lot of the B-roll stuff. How much interaction did you actually have with Cee-Lo and any of the artists or the coaches or anything like that?
Honestly, the most maybe 15 minutes. Total the whole time you're there. For me, you know what I mean? Because I only went through the battlerounds, and literally the only time I saw Cee-Lo was on camera. When we were shooting B-roll or stuff like that. That was it. all the mentoring and the vocal lessons from your coach are from the behind the scenes vocal coaches.
Yeah,
and you work with every day. You have voice lessons every day. You have choreography every day, hair and makeup every day. And like literally the only time you're seeing any of the coaches is when you're on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a little deceiving at times, but
it's when you go into it and you have this, I'm going to go for the voice, and what is portrayed on screen isn't necessarily. It's a TV show at the end of the day,
right? And that's pretty much what it is. It boils down to is just it's one of the most popular TV shows in America right now, and obviously they're there for a reason, so they know what they're doing, and it's just a little bit weird sometimes when you actually get into it and you're like, oh, this is really how it works. Okay.
Big sexy Shawn Smith in studio. Obviously, everyone is overrun with Quinsanity, with Ryan Quinn doing so well and making it to Team Adam this season on The Voice. Shawn has gone through the process. He's made it to Team Cee-Lo. He went through the battle round, and coming up next, we're going to talk to Shawn about his experience in the battle round and ultimately having to leave The Voice and what it's like making the transition from being on TV and then coming back to the real world, because I know that was a rough transition for you, just on a personal level, just being friends and whatnot. So we're gonna break and we're gonna talk about that coming up next here on Kiss FM. Big Papa and Banna in the morning. Big sexy Shawn Smith in studio. Playing out this weekend or playing out
sure
this week?
Am.
Where are you at?
Thursday I will be at Dick Smith's Tavern with the band Poor Tim, and Saturday I'll be at the Village Pub in Yorkville.
Awesome. Very cool. So, and of course, you can like Big Sexy on Facebook and whatnot, and find out where he's going to be and whatnot. So, we're talking about your journey on The Voice, and this isn't something that you've talked about publicly, and I appreciate you doing it here. Talk to me about so at this point you've gone through the blind audition, and you do the recording and the B-roll and all this stuff and working with the vocal coaches and whatnot. You're going into the first battle. It's you against Johnny, and you guys are both military, and that's why they did it. So that way there was that they had the one military vote. That's how you explained it to me. Is that
Correct.
Pretty much?
Absolutely. So then going up into the battles, you're doing all the choreography, you're getting ready for the thing, and right after you get done, no matter win or lose, winners they go to one side, losers they go to the other side. Literally get taken right to an office, and you have to start signing paperwork legit right after you lose.
Wow.
You get like the whole exit interview, the still the confidentiality, the reminder of your contract that you signed and everything like that, and you automatically go straight back to the hotel and you leave that next morning.
Wow. So
you're literally gone the next day.
So you literally are just like, it's
like, well, thank you, that was so awesome, have a good day.
Now in the process of The Voice itself, there's a couple different battle rounds before they make the lives. Is that correct?
I think, I don't know, I never got that far. I never got that far.
So it's battle day for you,
right?
Okay, and you're going up, and you've spent weeks and weeks with all the people that are on your team. You get to know them. In fact, you're still friends with some of them to this day.
Absolutely. That was honestly like the hardest part for me. It was just like having to leave, just because you're like shacked up with these guys for 3 months. It's just like going to like camp. It's like music camp. And by the way, that was our little disclaimer when we were at the hotel. We were at Hollywood music camp. If anybody, any press or anything tried to ask us about The Voice and stuff like that, it was the Hollywood music camp. That was our high. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, grown in.
So did you guys end up were you guys at a hotel? Was it like the real world? Was it like a big apartment or something?
No, it was just a hotel. It was just like a normal hotel, but that was honestly like some of the most fun there, because like we just hang out by the pool, and you got to imagine, like, you see all these people on these seasons of The Voice. Imagine all of them together with like 6 guitars and just sitting around in a circle. Everybody's just singing and like jamming out, and that was honestly like the coolest part of the whole show. Was just being there with like all these talented musicians.
Sure. So you go and they tape the battle. And again, it's like, okay, and you know you're going against him, and okay, here's the song.
Like the day of the day of the battle, you have to pack all your bags and put them in the lobby. Regardless.
Okay.
Whether you win or lose, everybody has to have their bags packed, because then they start moving you from hotel to hotel. And there was like a breach of like confidentiality or something when we were there on season 5, and they ended up having to move us from hotels because press started figuring out that this hotel was used for The Voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but America's Got Talent was there, stuff like that. So right after that, I did the whole exit interview there, and just signed away, and then just pretty much said goodbye to everybody that night. It was like kind of like the last hurrah.
So you go up, you do the performance. Ultimately, you end up losing. They take you to the side that the losers go on.
Yep.
And you sign all the stuff. You do they tape the exit interview, and you say goodbye to and then what? They take you back to the hotel, and then the next morning you're
gone. You have a flight that next morning.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
What a just like a sudden.
That was like
that's
the
gotta
roughest,
be so hard.
That
man.
was the roughest part for me, because I'm just like, all right, it's over. Now what? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, what do you do now?
And this has all happened before
the blinds even air.
Right.
Before they even air. So that was a hard part for me, because I had to come home and like, yeah, put the smile on, you know what I mean? But like, and it was still so, the wound is still deep, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's so new. So, but that's where I went back to like the original when we were talking before, like everybody you talk to though, they get so excited to talk to you about it. So you gotta stay happy about it and stay positive. But
sure.
it was positive, and it is positive. So
yeah. So you're not only are you sitting on some of the best things that's ever happened, but also you're sitting on this thing that it's almost like a car wreck, because it stopped so suddenly, and you got to sit on both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Internally, that's got to be rough.
It is, and that's another thing. Like you have to go through like all these like psyche evals and stuff like this. Like NBC makes you go see psychiatrists and stuff to make sure you're mentally stable enough to
make sure
handle
you can
the
handle
pressures.
This. Yeah,
and like everybody laughs at first. You're like, pressure's a TV, blah, blah, blah. But it's a little bit different when when you're actually having to go through all that stuff. And I can understand how like some of these younger kids, they just they'll like break down, they'll be crying. Like,
sure.
You know what I mean? I'm like, well, I get
because
it now,
it's more than just what you see on TV. It's all of the other stuff. It's the attention after the fact. It's going through the extreme highs and the extreme lows. Take me through. We actually had a viewing party for your battle that you ended up losing, and you were supposed to come on the show with me that next morning.
Yeah.
You left the party immediately after you just disappeared, and then didn't show that next morning. And I can only imagine because of it. I'm assuming it just brought everything all back.
Of course, it was just emotional, like the way just the way that it ended, and like how. There's so much I want to say about it, which you know what I mean, but I don't want to like a negative. I don't want to give. This is my personal opinion, about
sure.
what I've been through, just because I dealt with it.
And this is all we're talking about. And the reason
right.
it came up is because of Ryan, and we hope that Ryan does amazing and wins the whole thing.
He's not going to have anything. He'll be there for a long time.
But I'm just talking about how trying to process that information and going through it, and not only going through it on TV and going through it again.
It stung a little to watch it all over again.
And then doing it in a bar full of people who are your friends that.
And I already know the outcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's like, oh, I'm so excited for tonight. And I'm like, I don't want anybody to watch this because I lose. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. So, I mean, to take me through, and it's okay to still have it sting because it is what it is.
Right.
But I'm just saying that had to have been just so hard.
It was just like I knew. I actually found out accidentally before I actually did my battles that I was going home.
I'm sorry, what?
I accidentally found out before I actually did my battle, taped my battle with Johnny, that I was going home.
You found out before you taped the battle that you were going to lose?
Yes. And And it was a really big controversy, actually, on my exit out of there.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying that the show is like predetermined, but I think they can sway it sometimes, or
maybe
push.
up to the live. I mean, because you're just talking about your situation, and what happens, once they hit the live voting and whatnot. That's a completely different thing. But what up to when they get there, that's something completely different.
Right before I went on stage for the battles, I had my vocal coach come up, and she goes, she said, I'm really gonna miss you before I went on stage.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
oh my God.
Okay, and I remember walking out on stage, and then I came back, and I had 2 executive producers and the vocal coach apologizing, like, I am so sorry. In no way does NBC reflect the blah, 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 blah.
Like they were legally trying to cover their rear end on it.
So,
wow.
So it stung to see all that happen, all over again, but, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a produced show. But I don't know. I don't want to deter anybody from watching the show. Nothing like that. But it's just.
But at the same,
you got to remember that it is a talent show, but it's still also a reality show. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So.
That's wow.
Yeah.
Well, and when I remember watching the battle, and everyone was like, "Wow, I can't believe that you lost because you just killed it."
And that was the other, and it was tough because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try not to think about what she just said to me before I go sing.
Right.
So I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna go out there and give her everything I had, and I thought I killed it. But
it based on story and whatnot. Wow, that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Regardless, I know that you look back on, the situation and going through the experience honestly, as a positive.
Honestly, I would do it all over again, just because it was just the experience alone, playing with just the NBC band, the people that I met there, the vocal training and some of the tips that I got. You can't replace that. You can't put a price on that stuff. So. It was awesome, though.
Thank you for giving us the behind the scenes on stuff, and Shawn's going to be playing Thursday with Poor Tim at Dick Smith's, and then Saturday at the Village Pub.
Village Pub.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that right.
VP.
And I can't imagine just holding on to. The one side, making the thing and then the abrupt end. I can't imagine holding on to both ends of it for so long and then having to, play it both ways with people. You know what I'm saying? I just internally and just mentally, it's got to be it's so hard, and it's just got to be just so taxing and take so much out of you.
Like when I first tried out for it, I was, I took it really. I took it all lightly, you know what I mean? Like when I went down to audition,
whatever happens,
I'm like,
let's go.
I just want to call it. But then I got a chair to turn around, and I'm like, wow, all right, I'm in this now.
This is real, yeah.
And then, like right as I get into that battle, it was just the wind was just taking like right out. You're just like, ooh, oh, now what? You're like, oh, it hurt a little bit, but like Johnny Gray and him and I are like still good friends. We FaceTime every week. And he's a good dude,
That's awesome.
Really good dude, yeah.
And that's and I'm glad that you can look back on it, even though it was,
absolutely,
the way it kind of shook down for you. Yeah. I'm glad you can look back on it. It's
just funny for me to watch The Voice now because I'm like, okay, I see where they cut and pasted that. Okay, yeah. I get it now. And, but, you get it a little bit more. I watch TV shows and like stuff now with my girlfriend, and I'm like, you see that? Look at the clock in the background. The hand they cut and pasted that. I'm like, she's like, will you stop and just watch the show, please?
It's also got to be interesting to watch someone that now go through this.
Yes, I know exactly. Like watching them on stage and talking, like how it sounds weird because like they're like when you're talking to the coaches, you have to like really hear because it's like coming through the monitors and the floor, and it's weird, and you kind of like and you gotta like talk, and you gotta face the camera this way, and I never want to wear makeup again in my life if I don't have to. I actually had to go to Target and buy makeup removal wipes. And I'll never do it again.
So it's going to be. We can't wait to see what happens with Ryan Quinn moving forward, and obviously he has the voice, and the story is going to help propel him hopefully to the lives, and once you get to the lives, all bets are off and whatnot. But I'm very excited for him and what he's got going on.
I can't wait to watch what happens.
Absolutely, big sexy Shawn Smith, dude. Thank you so much for coming in today. I definitely appreciate that.
Get better, Banna.
Yeah, I will. I'll try.
Stop screaming.
We're gonna come back. It's Big Papa and Banna in the morning on Kiss FM.